All 8 Star Trek TNG episodes directed by women, including Gates McFadden. In 7 seasons and 178 episodes, only 8 episodes of Star Trek The Next Generation were directed by women. From Nichelle Nichols' L.T. Uhura to Kate Mulgrew's Captain Catherine Janeway, women have always been an integral part of the Star Trek franchise on screen. However, this did not always translate to more opportunities for women behind the scenes. Actress Majel Barrett and writer D.C. Fontana both contributed to the success of Star Trek, the original series, and several episodes were written by women. But no Star Trek episode was directed by a woman until TNG's 3rd season. Beginning with Star Trek The Next Generation Season 3, Episode 6, Booby Trap, 8 total episodes of TNG were directed by women. 7 of these episodes were directed by British director Gabrielle Beaumont, and 1 was directed by Dr. Beverly Crusher herself, Gates McFadden. Beaumont went on to direct 1 episode each of Star Trek Deep Space Nine and Star Trek Voyager, and she will always hold the title of the first woman to direct a Star Trek episode. TNG Season 7, Episode 19, Genesis, remains McFadden's sole directing credit, but she brilliantly reprised the role of Dr. Crusher in Star Trek Picard Season 3. Here are all 8 TNG episodes directed by women. While it may not be a perfect episode of Star Trek The Next Generation, Booby Trap has the distinction of being the first Star Trek episode to be directed by a woman. When the USS Enterprise D finds an ancient Promelian battlecruiser adrift in space, Captain Jean-Luc Picard, Patrick Stewart, cannot wait to see the historical ship for himself. As Picard and the away team investigate the ship, however, the Enterprise soon gets trapped in the same snare that caught the battlecruiser centuries ago. As LT Commander Geordi LaForge, LeVar Burton, works to find a way out of the predicament, he recruits the help of a holographic version of Dr. Leah Brahms, Susan Gibney, a scientist who helped create the Enterprise's engines. This storyline gets somewhat awkward when Geordi begins to develop feelings for Brahms, despite the fact that he has never actually met her. While Booby Trap would have worked better without Geordi's romantic subplot, the episode still delivers some fun moments. In a standout episode for Dr. Beverly Crusher, the USS Enterprise D gets caught up in a terrorist conflict on the war-torn planet of Rusha 4. When a group of terrorists kidnaps Dr. Crusher, she must hold out until her crewmates find a way to rescue her. The High Ground does a good job of depicting the reality of terrorism, both from the side of the terrorists themselves and the security officers opposing them. As the always compassionate doctor, Beverly does her best to help however she can, eventually coming to sympathize with the terrorists. Still, even she cannot prevent the death of the terrorist leader. With a compelling turn as a guest star, Carrie Keane brings Alexana Devos to life as the head of Russian security, making The High Ground a story of strong women. It's appropriate, then, that the episode was written and directed by women, and it remains a solid TNG story. When the Enterprise responds to a distress call from a Talarian ship, they find a human teenager among the crew. The boy, who goes by Jono, Chad Allen, had been orphaned 10 years before when the Talarians killed his parents. The Talarians have raised Jono as their own, and he has come to see himself as one of them. Although Captain Picard and the Enterprise crew members try to convince Jono to return to the Federation, he insists on remaining with the Talarians. Throughout Suddenly Human, Jono becomes friends with Ensign Wesley Crusher, Will Wheaton, and begins to view Captain Picard as a mentor. When Jono expresses his fear of betraying his Talarian father, Picard realizes that he has been viewing the situation through an entirely human lens. In the end, Jono returns with the Talarians, which feels like a bit of a foregone conclusion, but the episode still has its moments. Star Trek The Next Generation, TNG, was revolutionary in many ways, from its exploration of complex social issues to its portrayal of a more optimistic future. However, one area where TNG lagged behind was in the representation of women behind the camera. Over the course of its 7 seasons, only a handful of episodes were directed by women. Nonetheless, the impact of these episodes is significant, showcasing the talent of women in an industry that often overlooked their contributions. Here's a look at all 8 TNG episodes directed by women, including one by Gates McFadden, who played Dr. Beverly Crusher. 1. The Outrageous Okona, Season 2, Episode 4, directed by Rob Bowman, with Kim Friedman as co-director. This episode is a light-hearted romp featuring the roguish Captain Okona, who becomes involved in a misunderstanding between two warring factions. While the plot may not be the most memorable in TNG's run, it's significant as one of the earliest episodes to involve a woman in a directorial role. Kim Friedman, who co-directed with Rob Bowman, contributed to the development of the episode's pacing and comedic elements. Friedman brought a unique sensibility to the interactions, balancing the episode's humor with subtle commentary on romance and loyalty. 2. The Survivors, Season 3, Episode 3. Directed by Les Landau with Winrick Kolb and Gabrielle Beaumont. Though this episode is technically credited to Les Landau and Winrick Kolb, Gabrielle Beaumont was instrumental in shaping the tone of The Survivors. This episode follows the crew as they investigate a planet where two survivors of a massive attack seem to be hiding a dark secret. Beaumont's direction adds a layer of suspense and emotional complexity to this mystery. The story's themes of loss, guilt, and the lengths one will go for love are brought into focus under her deft hand. Beaumont would later take on more directorial roles within the Star Trek universe. 3. The High Ground, Season 3, Episode 12. Directed by Gabrielle Beaumont, Gabrielle Beaumont returned to direct The High Ground, one of TNG's most politically charged episodes. In it, Dr. Beverly Crusher is kidnapped by a group of terrorists who are fighting for independence from their government. The episode tackles the complex moral question of terrorism and freedom fighting, and Beaumont's direction shines in balancing the personal and political stakes. She portrays Beverly's inner conflict with sensitivity and nuance, while also keeping the action suspenseful. Beaumont's ability to handle this delicate subject matter without feeling heavy-handed is a testament to her skill as a director. 4. The Offspring, Season 3, Episode 16. Directed by Jonathan Frakes, with Gabrielle Beaumont. While Jonathan Frakes is credited as the main director for this episode, Gabrielle Beaumont once again played a key role in shaping it. The Offspring tells the story of Data's decision to create an artificial child, Lau. Beaumont's involvement ensured that the episode's emotional beats, particularly between Data and Lau, resonated deeply with audiences. The themes of parenthood, individuality, and acceptance are brought to life through intimate character moments, underscored by Beaumont's directorial sensibilities. 5. Disaster, Season 5, Episode 5. Directed by Gabrielle Beaumont, Gabrielle Beaumont took the reins entirely for Disaster, one of TNG's most memorable ensemble episodes. In this story, a catastrophic event disables the Enterprise, separating the crew into small, isolated groups. Each group must find a way to survive and solve the crisis with limited resources. Beaumont's direction excels in balancing multiple storylines while giving each character room to shine. From Picard's awkward interactions with children to Worf's unexpected role in delivering a baby, Beaumont's touch is evident in how each scene plays out with a mix of tension and humor. Her direction keeps the stakes high while allowing for meaningful character development. 6. Power Play, Season 5, Episode 15. Directed by David Livingston, with Gabrielle Beaumont. Although David Livingston is credited as the primary director of this action-packed episode, Gabrielle Beaumont's contributions helped shape its dramatic moments. Power Play sees members of the Enterprise crew possessed by alien entities seeking to take control of the ship. Beaumont's ability to heighten tension and drive character conflicts forward is apparent, particularly in scenes where the possessed crew members are at odds with their shipmates. Beaumont's pacing keeps the episode engaging and suspenseful, while also allowing for moments of reflection on the nature of control and autonomy.